today we are just outside of Yukon at GreenShade, which is a tree farm and also a full-service horticulture nursery provider, right?
Correct.
So,
yeah.
Joining me is Justin Lingo, who is the owner and president. So, Justin, I want to talk about bulb and burlap trees, specifically how we get to this process.
Right.
So, you've got several thousand trees planted out here. Let's talk about how that first gets started.
So we start with a liner tree, and
which is what?
that is a tree that we would say is probably as big as your pinky.
Okay.
And they range from 3 to 6 feet tall. So we want them tall enough that rabbits and other varmints don't eat them down.
Okay.
But we don't want them so tall that the Oklahoma wind will damage them. So we really shoot for that pinky size and 3 to 6 foot tall, and we see a really good transplant rate in that range. If we get them too big, we see that they don't root well. If we get them too small, they just don't ever get out of the weeds.
Okay.
So we really target that size.
Okay, so you're planting those trees, and then how long are they out here growing for?
So some of those trees will be here 5 to 7 years.
So after growing for a few years, depending on which variety, how many varieties do you kind of have?
I think we
here?
probably, I mean, it's hard to tell because we have all these cultivars.
Okay.
But I would say it's 20 to 30 true species, and then probably almost 100 cultivars of different types.
And other than obviously we're getting a larger sized tree, I mean, what's one of the benefits of having a tree that's grown here in Oklahoma?
We really think that the trees that are grown here in Oklahoma are conditioned to the swings of hot and cold. So you get to really experience very cold weather like we had last week and 110 like we had last summer. And then we also get, trees in Oklahoma tend to be a little bit shorter. So they're not real long and leggy, and they do well transplanting. So,
okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we're here in the wintertime, and I know a lot of times we think wait till spring and summer to really talk about landscaping, but you guys are full on in digging these bulb and burlap trees right now.
So
tell us a little bit, 'cause obviously we didn't dig it up and it just looked like that.
No, so we had a crew come in, and they dug, they bring a machine in with spades, and they will dig up the trees and put them in this container. I mean, it's really just ball and burlap and wire. And this would be the industry standard transplanting method. Okay. I know there's a lot of other methods out there, and we like some of those methods, but they tend not to maybe be the best for certain species. Okay. And so we've really been successful with digging ball and burlap, how we store it, how we transplant it, how we get it to a commercial site or a residential site. And our crews are adapted to that. There's other crews who are adapted to different methods. Right. And you go further south, more pots are used, more large boxes are used. And so, but that probably does not great for Oklahoma. Okay. So we've done well with this. I think we've also used fabric bags or pot and pot, those things. And we've seen advantages for certain trees with those, but this works for us. Okay.
How do you know when it's time to finally dig the tree, I guess?
So we work off of orders. Okay. And so a customer will call us and say, hey, we want a certain size elm. And we say yes or no, we have it. We wait till the right time of the year, more or less. We can start digging November 15th. If we've really had a really cold October 1st of November, we can start about October 15th or November 15th. And we'll go through about March 15th on digging.
Okay, so come March, you'll dig a lot more that are ready for that season, so that you have a supply to pull from.
So we will sell these trees to other landscapers. We sell these trees to other nurseries, and they'll give us orders. So we've already kind of got our orders ready for the year, and we know what we're gonna have available, and we work off of that. And so if a customer wants a certain size, we say yes or no, we have it. And it's a good system. Okay.
So how do you know, other than your orders, how to dig a tree come March?
Right. So we look for a couple things. We want it to be, for it to be economically viable for us to do, we need a 2-inch tree. Okay. So we take the caliber here, and we go 6 inches up from the base of the root. Okay. I mean the top of the root ball. And so we're going to measure this, and this is a 2.5-inch tree. Once it gets over 6 inches, we'd go to DBH measuring. So that's going to be up in here. But since it's a small tree, we still measure 6 inches up from the base of the tree. Okay. And then for as far as a root ball, we want it to be 9 to 10 times the diameter of the trunk. Oh, okay. So if we have a 2-inch tree or 2.5-inch tree, 10 times that's going to be 25. to 28 inches. And so we dug these with a 32 just because we like to put a little extra soil on it. And with our sandy soil, we think that's a good idea.
Right,
So,
and looking at the hole behind you, I mean, we're not seeing any roots that have really been lost in this. So really captured most of that in there. Right?
So if we get our liners from a lot of really good nurseries, and so they are root pruned in the nursery.
Okay.
So they come in, they root prune them when they're very small. They start forming that fibrous root. Opposed to if we were out here putting in seeds, there might be a large taproot, and that we would want to root prune at that point when it's in the ground. In the hole, we don't see a lot of really large roots. Okay. So that gives us confidence that we're capturing the large roots and we're not causing the tree too much stress by pruning.
Right. So, okay. So when we're planting these trees, so let's say I'm a homeowner and this comes in my backyard and I have a contractor who isn't you. Right. What should I expect? I mean, I've heard different ways of planting ball and burlap. So what is the preferred method? We really like to see the hole dug 2 to 3 times the diameter of this. Okay. So that's a lot of digging, but a lot of times that will help loosen up. Can I borrow the machine back there? Well, maybe. Yeah, we'll see. But if you can dig the hole 2 to 3 times the size of the root ball, and then use that same soil in the hole. Don't bring in a bunch of new soil or different amendments. Just use that same soil back in that hole. And then what we like to do is get the tree, do a lot of measuring, measure twice, put the tree, yeah, the same thing with trees. And we like to put the tree in the hole, fill up the bottom just so the tree can stand on its own. Okay. And then we like to start cutting the fabric and wire off. So we would want to see, at a minimum, we want to see the top third of this burlap and wire and rope gone. Removed. Okay. Removed. All right. We want to leave as much of the soil that it came with the tree. And if you can go further down on taking wire and burlap off, I think that's great. Okay. But the key is not to crack the root ball, not to damage the root ball. We want to keep that root ball as intact as possible. Right, because that's potentially going to damage some of those roots. Right, so all those fibrous roots in there are connected to the soil, and the more it's disturbed, the more it's damaged. The longer time it will take to transition and start growing again. Okay, and absolutely remove anything that's up around. Yes, definitely remove any rope or string at the top of the root ball, for sure. All right, well, thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. It looks like you've got a full season ahead of you of digging behind us. We will stay busy. Thank you so much. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.